The room is silent, except for the faint hum of the city below. Sophia Carter lies motionless on the floor, her designer dress crumpled, her face pale. The glittering skyline outside contrasts sharply with the tragedy inside. Flashing red and blue lights from police cars reflect off the floor-to-ceiling windows as Detective Khalid al-Suwaidi steps into the room. His sharp eyes scan the scene, taking in every detail. In the heart of Dubai, where luxury meets tradition, a forbidden romance turned deadly. This is the story of Sophia Carter, a supermodel whose dreams of fame ended in tragedy, and the powerful man who destroyed her life. A love affair shrouded in secrecy, a betrayal that shook a city, and a quest for justice that would expose the dark side of power. What began as a glamorous adventure in the world's most luxurious city ended in a chilling mystery. Was it love, betrayal, or something far more dangerous? Stay with us as we unravel the shocking truth behind this scandal. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to join us on this journey. The truth will shock you. At 27, Sophia Carter had it all. A rising supermodel from Los Angeles, she was the face of luxury brands and a regular at high-profile events. But her biggest break came when she was offered a contract in Dubai, the city of dreams. We see Sophia stepping off a private jet, her confidence radiating as she adjusts her sunglasses. The scene cuts to her walking through the opulent lobby of a five-star hotel, her heels clicking against the marble floor. Dubai was everything she imagined. Extravagant, fast-paced, and full of opportunity. But beneath the glittering surface lay a world of unspoken rules and cultural boundaries. The setting shifts to an exclusive rooftop party. The camera captures the glamour, champagne flowing, guests in designer attire, and the city lights twinkling below. Sophia enters, turning heads instantly. It was at an event like this that Sophia's life would change forever. Omar Al-Farouk, standing across the room. Dressed in a tailored suit, he exudes power and charm. Their eyes meet, and he approaches her with a confident smile. Omar Al-Farouk, a wealthy businessman, philanthropist, and a man who seemed to have it all. But behind his polished exterior lay secrets that would soon entangle Sophia in a web of danger. Omar introduces himself, his voice smooth and inviting. They exchange pleasantries, and he compliments her work, mentioning how he's followed her career. Sophia was flattered. Omar was influential, charismatic, and unlike anyone she'd met before. But there was one detail she overlooked. He was married. The camera cuts to a brief shot of Layla Al-Farouk, Omar's wife, at another corner of the event. Her elegant demeanor contrasts with the growing tension as she watches Omar and Sophia from a distance. Little did Sophia know, her life was about to take a turn she could never have predicted. The camera opens with Sophia in her luxurious apartment, scrolling through her phone. She hesitates, then dials Omar's number. Omar had offered to mentor her, to help her navigate the competitive world of luxury fashion in Dubai. For Sophia, it was an opportunity too good to pass up. We see them meeting at a high-end cafe. Omar is dressed impeccably, his demeanor warm but calculated. He speaks passionately about the industry, offering insights that impress Sophia. He was everything she needed, a guide, a confidant, and a connection to the elite circles of Dubai. But with every meeting, the lines between professionalism and something more began to blur. Sophia and Omar are seated together in a private yacht party, the golden sunset reflecting off the water. They laugh, their chemistry undeniable. It was moments like these that made Sophia forget the rules. The way Omar looked at her, the way he made her feel seen, it was intoxicating. Omar's hand brushing against Sophia's as he hands her a glass of champagne. She hesitates, then smiles, her guard slowly lowering. But in a city like Dubai, where tradition and reputation were everything, their connection was a risk neither of them could afford. Back in her apartment, Sophia stares at her reflection in the mirror. She knew it was wrong. He was married. But the thrill of their secret meetings, the way he made her feel alive, it was a temptation she couldn't resist. Sophia tried to convince herself it was just a harmless flirtation, but deep down, she knew it was more than that. Sophia knew this meeting was different. Omar's text had been cryptic, and the location was far from their usual spots. The scene shifts to a lavish suite. Omar greets her with a smile, but there's a tension in the air. He pours her a drink, his movements deliberate. He had a way of making her feel special, like she was the only person in the room, but tonight there was something else, a sense of urgency she couldn't ignore. Omar sits across from Sophia, his expression serious. "Sophia, what we have, it's more than just mentorship. I can't pretend anymore." Sophia's eyes widen, her heart racing. She looks away, conflicted. "Omar, you're married. This can't happen." Omar leans closer, his voice low and persuasive. "My marriage is a facade, Sophia. You're the only one who truly understands me." The camera captures Sophia's internal struggle, her desire for Omar battling her sense of morality. In that moment, Sophia felt the weight of her choices, but the pull of their connection was too strong to resist. Sophia and Omar laughing in a private dining room. Omar gifting Sophia an expensive necklace, his fingers brushing against her skin as he fastens it. The two of them dancing under the stars on a deserted beach. Their relationship became a whirlwind of passion and secrecy. But with every stolen moment, the risks grew higher. One evening, as Sophia leaves Omar's penthouse, she notices a car parked across the street. The camera zooms in on a shadowy figure inside, watching her. Sophia's heart raced. Was it paranoia, or was someone following her? She quickens her pace, glancing over her shoulder. The car doesn't move, but the sense of unease lingers. For the first time, Sophia felt the danger lurking beneath the surface of their affair. Sophia, in her apartment, pacing nervously. She stares at the mysterious text. "Be careful who you trust." The warning haunted her. Was it a jealous rival, a concerned friend, or something far more dangerous? She tries to shake off the feeling, but the unease lingers. Sophia couldn't ignore the possibility that Layla knew about the affair, and in a city like Dubai, where reputation was everything, the stakes were life-changing. Sophia confronts Omar during their next meeting. The setting is a dimly lit lounge, the atmosphere tense. "Omar, I think someone knows about us. I got this text." Omar takes her hand, his expression calm but firm. "Sophia, you're overthinking this. No one knows, and no one will find out. I'll protect you." His words soothe her, but the camera lingers on his face, revealing a flicker of doubt. Sophia wanted to believe him, but deep down, she knew their secret was too big to stay hidden forever. The next day, Sophia poses for the camera at a photo shoot. Her phone buzzes repeatedly. She finally checks it and sees multiple missed calls from Omar. Something was wrong. Omar never called her during the day. She excuses herself and calls him back. His voice is urgent, almost panicked. "Sophia, we need to talk. Meet me at the usual place, now." Sophia arrives at the luxury hotel suite. Omar is pacing, his usual composure shattered. "Layla knows," he says, his voice trembling. "She hired a private investigator. She has photos of us." Sophia's heart sinks. The camera zooms in on her face, capturing her fear and disbelief. "What are we going to do?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Omar grabs her shoulders, his grip tight. "We'll figure it out. But you need to trust me, Sophia. No matter what happens, we're in this together." Layla had always suspected something was off, but seeing the proof shattered her world. She picks up her phone and dials a number. "I need you to dig deeper. I want to know everything about her." The scene shifts to the private investigator tailing Sophia, capturing her every move. Layla wasn't just fighting for her marriage, she was fighting for her pride, her reputation, and her future. Meanwhile, Sophia is at Omar's penthouse, waiting for him to arrive. She notices a file left open on his desk. Curiosity gets the better of her, and she begins flipping through it. What she found would change everything. The documents reveal Omar's involvement in illegal financial dealings, money laundering, offshore accounts, and connections to powerful figures in Dubai's elite. Sophia's hands trembled as she realized the man she loved wasn't just a charismatic businessman, he was a criminal. Omar walks in, his cheerful demeanor fading as he sees Sophia holding the documents. "What are you doing?" he demands, his voice sharp. Sophia looks at him, her eyes filled with betrayal. "Is this who you really are, Omar? A liar? A criminal?" Omar's expression hardens. He steps closer, his tone shifting from anger to manipulation. "Sophia, you don't understand. This is how the world works. I'm protecting us, protecting you." Sophia shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. "I can't be part of this. If you don't end it, I'll expose you." Layla meets her private investigator in a discreet cafe. He slides a new set of photos across the table. Sophia leaving Omar's penthouse looking distressed. "She's not just his mistress," the investigator says. "She's involved in his business dealings. If you want to take him down, she's the key." Layla's eyes narrow as she studies the photos. "Then we'll use her. I want everything on her, her past, her connections, her weaknesses." The camera captures Layla's determination, her transformation from a betrayed wife to a calculated strategist. Layla wasn't just fighting for her marriage anymore. She was fighting for justice and revenge. Sophia sits alone in her apartment, the weight of Omar's secrets crushing her. She scrolls through news articles about his philanthropic work, contrasting sharply with the documents she found. How could the man who built schools and hospitals be the same man laundering money and exploiting the system? Her phone buzzes with a message from Omar. "We need to talk. Don't do anything rash." She hesitates, then deletes the message. Sophia felt trapped. Exposing Omar could destroy her career and her life, but staying silent made her complicit. As Sophia leaves her apartment building, she notices the same car parked across the street. The camera zooms in on the shadowy figure inside, watching her. The feeling of being watched was constant now. Was it Layla's investigator or someone else? She quickens her pace, her heart racing. The car doesn't follow, but the sense of danger lingers. Sophia's world was closing in, and she had no one to turn to. Omar arrives unannounced at Sophia's apartment. He looks disheveled, a stark contrast to his usual polished appearance. "Sophia, we need to fix this. If you expose me, it won't just ruin me, it'll ruin you too. We're in this together." Sophia crosses her arms, her voice trembling but firm. "You lied to me, Omar. You used me. I won't let you drag me down with you." Omar steps closer, his tone shifting from pleading to threatening. "You think you can walk away? You're in too deep, Sophia. You don't know what you're dealing with." Layla, in her home office, reviewing a detailed report on Sophia. The investigator stands nearby, pointing out key details. Sophia Carter, born in Los Angeles. No family ties. Her career took off quickly, but she's always been replaceable. Layla's eyes narrow as she flips through the pages. And her connection to Omar? The investigator hesitates. It's deeper than we thought. She's not just his mistress. She's involved in his business. If she talks, it could bring down everything. Layla leans back, a cold smile forming on her lips. Then we'll make sure she doesn't talk. Sophia sits at her laptop, her face illuminated by the screen. She's copying files from a USB drive, documents, photos, and emails that implicate Omar in illegal activities. Sophia knew she was playing a dangerous game. But if Omar wouldn't let her walk away, she'd have to fight back. She encrypts the files and sends them to a secure cloud storage account. This was her insurance. If anything happened to her, the truth would come out. As Sophia closes her laptop, her phone buzzes with a call from an unknown number. She hesitates, then answers. A distorted voice speaks. "Stop digging, or you'll regret it." Sophia's breath catches. Who is this? The line goes dead. The camera zooms in on her trembling hands as she sets the phone down. Sophia realized she wasn't just fighting Omar anymore. She was up against forces far more powerful than she'd imagined. Sophia meets Omar at a secluded location, a dimly lit park overlooking the city. The tension between them is palpable. "Omar, I'm done. I can't keep living like this. I'm leaving Dubai." Omar's expression darkens. "You think it's that simple? You walk away and everything just disappears?" Sophia steps closer, her voice steady despite her fear. "I have proof, Omar. If anything happens to me, it'll all come out." Omar grabs her arm, his grip tight. "You're making a mistake, Sophia. You don't know who you're dealing with." Layla confronts Omar in their home. She slams the folder of photos and documents on the table, her voice trembling with rage. "How long did you think you could hide this from me? Did you think I wouldn't find out?" Omar's calm facade cracks as he glances at the evidence. "Layla, it's not what you think. She's just a distraction. You're my wife. Nothing changes that." Layla laughs bitterly, her eyes blazing. "You've humiliated me, Omar, and now you'll pay for it." She picks up her phone and shows him a text she's about to send. "Meet me tomorrow. I have everything you need to destroy him. If you don't end this affair and cut ties with her, I'll send this to the authorities. You'll lose everything." Omar paces the room, his mind racing. "Layla, you don't understand. If this gets out, it won't just ruin me, it'll ruin us. Everything we've built." Layla's expression hardens. "You should have thought of that before you betrayed me." The camera captures Omar's desperation as he realizes he's losing control. Omar was cornered, and a cornered man is the most dangerous of all. Sophia sits in a cafe, typing on her laptop. She's drafting an anonymous email to a journalist, attaching the encrypted files. This was her last resort. If Omar wouldn't let her go, she'd expose him to the world. As she hits send, the camera zooms in on her face, a mix of fear and determination. Sophia knew there was no turning back, but she also knew she couldn't stay silent any longer. Omar receives a call. His face pales as he listens to the voice on the other end. "She's about to expose everything. Handle it. Now." Omar hangs up, his expression darkening. He grabs his coat and heads out the door. Sophia's defiance had pushed Omar to the edge, and he was ready to do whatever it took to protect his empire. The tension reaches a boiling point as Sophia's decision to expose Omar sets off a chain of events that will change everything. Sophia's anonymous email to the journalist was a desperate attempt to free herself from Omar's grip. But in Dubai, where power and influence often trump justice, her actions had consequences she couldn't foresee. Unbeknownst to her, Omar's connections ran deeper than she imagined. Within hours of sending the email, a shadowy figure intercepted it, alerting Omar to her betrayal. Omar, now desperate and cornered, knew he had to act fast. He couldn't risk Sophia's evidence going public. Late that night, he called a trusted associate, a man with a reputation for handling delicate situations. The conversation was brief but chilling. Make sure she doesn't talk, permanently. Meanwhile, Sophia, unaware of the danger closing in, tried to go about her life. She attended a photo shoot, her mind racing with thoughts of what she'd done. The weight of her decision was heavy, but she clung to the hope that exposing Omar would finally set her free. As she left the studio that evening, she noticed a black sedan parked across the street. The same car had been following her for days, but this time it felt different. The engine revved as she walked past, and her heart pounded in her chest. She quickened her pace, her heels clicking against the pavement, but the car slowly followed. Sophia's apartment was only a few blocks away, but the distance felt endless. She glanced over her shoulder, her breath coming in short gasps. The car's headlights illuminated her figure, casting long shadows on the empty street. She was alone, vulnerable and running out of time. Sophia reached her apartment building, her hands trembling as she fumbled with her keys. The black sedan had disappeared, but the sense of dread lingered. She stepped into the elevator, her reflection in the mirrored walls revealing the fear in her eyes. She was so close to safety, but safety was an illusion. As she entered her penthouse, she locked the door behind her, leaning against it for a moment to catch her breath. The apartment was silent, the city lights twinkling through the floor-to-ceiling windows. She poured herself a glass of water, her mind racing. What if Omar found out about the email? What if he already knew? Her thoughts were interrupted by a faint noise, a creak, like a floorboard shifting. She froze, her heart pounding. "Hello?" she called out, her voice barely above a whisper. No response. She grabbed her phone, her fingers hovering over the emergency call button. But before she could dial, a figure stepped out of the shadows. "Sophia Carter," the man said, his voice calm but menacing. "We need to talk." Sophia backed away, her mind racing. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" The man ignored her questions, stepping closer. "You've been causing a lot of trouble, Sophia. My employer doesn't like trouble." Sophia's eyes darted to the door, but the man blocked her path. "If you come quietly, this will be easier for both of us." Sophia's fear turned to defiance. "If you touch me, the whole world will know what Omar's done. I've made sure of that." The man smirked, pulling out a small device, a signal jammer. No calls, no emails, no evidence. Sophia's heart sank as she realized how outmatched she was, but she wasn't going down without a fight. "You think you can silence me? You think I'm just going to let you win?" She grabbed a vase from the table and hurled it at the man, catching him off guard. He stumbled, and she bolted for the door. Sophia's fight for survival had begun, but the odds were stacked against her. Sophia sprinted down the hallway, her bare feet slapping against the cold marble floor. The man was close behind, his footsteps echoing in the empty corridor. She reached the stairwell, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she flung the door open and began descending the steps 2 at a time. She had to get out. She had to find help. But the man was relentless. He followed her into the stairwell, his voice calm but chilling. "You're only making this harder, Sophia. Stop running." Sophia didn't look back. She pushed herself harder, her legs burning as she reached the ground floor. Bursting through the door, she found herself in the building's parking garage. The dim lighting and rows of cars offered little comfort. She was trapped, and she knew it. She ducked behind a car, her chest heaving as she tried to steady her breathing. The man's footsteps grew louder, his shadow stretching across the concrete floor. "Sophia, this doesn't have to end badly. Just come with me." Sophia's mind raced. She had no weapons, no way to call for help. But she wasn't going to give up. "If I go with you, I'm dead. And if I'm dead, the truth comes out. You can't stop that." The man paused, his expression unreadable. "You're brave, I'll give you that, but bravery won't save you." Sophia saw her chance. She grabbed a loose piece of metal from the ground and hurled it at a nearby car, setting off the alarm. The blaring sound echoed through the garage, and she took off running again, hoping the noise would draw attention. It was a desperate move, but it was all she had. The man cursed under his breath and gave chase. Sophia darted between cars, her heart pounding as she searched for an exit. She spotted a door leading to the street and made a break for it, but the man was faster. He grabbed her arm, yanking her back with brutal force. Sophia screamed, her voice echoing through the garage. She fought with everything she had, clawing at his face and kicking wildly. "Let me go!" But the man was too strong. He pinned her against a car, his grip like iron. "It's over, Sophia." Sophia's vision blurred as tears streamed down her face. She thought of everything she'd lost, her dreams, her freedom, her future. This couldn't be how it ended. Sophia's struggles grew weaker as the man tightened his grip, his voice cold and detached. "This will only hurt for a moment." He plunged the syringe into her arm, the liquid coursing through her veins. Sophia's vision blurred, her limbs growing heavy. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. It was over. She had fought with everything she had, but it wasn't enough. The man lowered her limp body to the ground, his expression unreadable. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "It's done." Sophia was gone, but the consequences of her death would ripple far beyond what Omar could imagine. The sun rises over Dubai, casting a golden glow over the city. In the parking garage, a security guard makes his rounds, his flashlight illuminating the rows of cars. He freezes as the beam lands on Sophia's lifeless body. The discovery of Sophia's body sent shockwaves through the city. For Detective Khalid al-Suwaidi, it was the beginning of a case that would test everything he believed in. Detective Khalid arrives at the scene, his sharp eyes taking in every detail. He kneels beside Sophia's body, his expression grim. "Who was she?" he asks the security guard. "Sophia Carter, a model. She lived in the penthouse." Khalid's gaze lingers on Sophia's face, her eyes still open, frozen in fear. This wasn't an accident. Someone wanted her dead. As the forensic team begins their work, Khalid reviews the security footage. The camera captures Sophia running through the garage, the man chasing her, and the final, tragic moments of her life. The footage was damning, but the man's face was obscured. Khalid knew this wouldn't be an easy case to solve. Sophia's death was just the beginning. The truth was buried deep, and Khalid was determined to uncover it, no matter the cost. The discovery of Sophia's body marked the beginning of a complex and high-stakes investigation. Detective Khalid al-Suwaidi, an investigator with a reputation for integrity, took charge of the case. From the moment he arrived at the scene, he knew this wasn't just another crime. It was a puzzle with layers of deception, power, and betrayal. Sophia's penthouse became the next focus of the investigation. Khalid and his team combed through her belongings, searching for clues. They found her laptop. its screen still open to an unsent email draft addressed to a journalist. The subject line read, "The Truth About Omar al-Farouk." Sophia had been ready to expose Omar, but someone had silenced her before she could hit send. Khalid's attention turned to Omar. The wealthy businessman was a prominent figure in Dubai, known for his philanthropy and influence. But, as Khalid dug deeper, he uncovered a darker side: rumors of illegal financial dealings, connections to powerful figures, and a history of manipulating those who crossed him. Meanwhile, Omar was growing increasingly uneasy. He had expected Sophia's death to be ruled a suicide or an accident, but Khalid's involvement changed everything. He called a meeting with his most trusted associates, his voice tense. "We need to control the narrative. If the police start asking questions, we're all at risk." But Omar wasn't the only one feeling the pressure. Layla, his wife, had her own secrets to protect. She had hired the private investigator who uncovered Omar's affair, and now she feared her involvement could be exposed. The investigation was a ticking time bomb, and everyone connected to Sophia was in the blast zone. Detective Khalid's investigation took a dramatic turn when he discovered the encrypted files on Sophia's laptop. With the help of a tech expert, he unlocked the documents, revealing a trove of evidence against Omar: offshore accounts, money laundering schemes, and connections to powerful figures in Dubai's elite. Sophia had been gathering this information for months. She knew the risks, but she believed the truth was worth it. Khalid's team traced the IP address of the unsent email, leading them to a cafe Sophia frequented. Surveillance footage showed her typing on her laptop, her expression tense. But what caught Khalid's attention was the man sitting at a nearby table, watching her intently. He was the same man from the parking garage. This wasn't a random attack, it was a targeted hit. Khalid's next step was to interview Omar. The meeting took place in Omar's office, the opulent surroundings a stark contrast to the grim nature of the conversation. "Mr. Al-Farouk, we have evidence linking you to Sophia Carter's death. Care to explain?" Omar's calm demeanor didn't waver. "Detective, I barely knew the woman. She worked with some of my business associates, but that's all." Khalid leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Then why was she about to expose your illegal activities? Why was she killed before she could send that email?" Omar's mask slipped for a moment, a flicker of anger in his eyes. "I don't know what you're talking about. And unless you have proof, I suggest you tread carefully." The tension between the two men was palpable. Khalid knew Omar was hiding something, but without concrete evidence, his hands were tied. Meanwhile, Layla was grappling with her own guilt. She had set the investigation in motion, but she never imagined it would lead to Sophia's death. She confronted Omar at home, her voice trembling with anger. "Did you kill her, Omar? Did you have her silenced?" Omar's response was cold and dismissive. "You're being paranoid, Layla. Sophia's death has nothing to do with me." But Layla wasn't convinced. She began to question everything she thought she knew about her husband. The investigation was tearing apart the lives of everyone involved, and the truth was still out of reach. Detective Khalid's breakthrough came when he identified the man in the surveillance footage. His name was Tariq, a former security contractor with ties to Omar's business empire. Khalid tracked him down to a rundown apartment on the outskirts of Dubai. The confrontation was tense. Tariq denied any involvement in Sophia's death, but Khalid's sharp questioning began to chip away at his defenses. "We have you on camera, Tariq. You were there that night. You chased her. You killed her." Tariq's composure cracked. "I didn't kill her. I was just supposed to scare her, make her back off. But she fought back and things got out of hand." Khalid pressed further. "Who hired you? Was it Omar al-Farouk? Tariq hesitated, then nodded. He paid me to keep her quiet, but I swear, I didn't mean for her to die. Khalid's heart raced. He finally had the evidence he needed to bring Omar in for questioning. But he knew it wouldn't be easy. Omar was a powerful man with connections at the highest levels of Dubai's elite. Meanwhile, Layla's suspicions about Omar had reached a boiling point. She confronted him one final time, her voice shaking with anger and fear. I know what you did, Omar. I know you had Sophia killed. How could you? Omar's calm facade shattered. You think you're innocent, Layla. You hired the investigator. You started this. If anyone's to blame, it's you. The argument escalated, their voices echoing through the penthouse. Layla realized she was in danger. She grabbed her phone and dialed Detective Khalid's number. I need your help. I have evidence against Omar, but you need to come now. Khalid arrived just as Omar was trying to leave. The tension between the two men was electric. Mr. Al-Farouk, you're under arrest for the murder of Sophia Carter. Omar's face twisted in rage. You have no idea what you're getting into, Khalid. This isn't over. As Khalid led Omar away in handcuffs, Layla watched from the window, her emotions a mix of relief and sorrow. The investigation had exposed the dark underbelly of Dubai's elite. But the fight for justice was far from over. The arrest of Omar al-Farouk sent shockwaves through Dubai. The media frenzy was immediate, with the headlines splashed across newspapers and TV screens. Prominent businessmen arrested in model's murder. Detective Khalid knew the case was far from over. Omar's arrest was just the beginning. The real challenge would be proving his guilt in a court of law, especially given his influence and connections. Khalid's first step was to secure Layla's cooperation. She had promised evidence, and he needed it to build an airtight case. Layla met Khalid at the police station, her demeanor calm but resolute. She handed him a USB drive containing files from Omar's private server, emails, financial records, and recordings of conversations between Omar and Tariq. This is everything, she said. Omar thought he was untouchable, but he underestimated me. Khalid reviewed the files, his excitement growing with each document. The evidence was damning. Proof of Omar's illegal activities, his involvement in Sophia's death, and his attempts to cover it up. With this, we can bring him down, Khalid said. But Layla's expression was somber. It's not just about Omar. There are others involved, powerful people who will do anything to protect themselves. Khalid nodded, understanding the risks. Then we'll take them down too. Meanwhile, Omar sat in his cell, his confidence unshaken. He knew the system was rigged in his favor. His lawyers were already working on his defense, and his connections in high places were mobilizing to discredit the case. Omar believed he could buy his way out of anything, but this time, he was wrong. The trial of Omar al-Farouk became the most high-profile case in Dubai's history. The courtroom was packed with journalists, spectators, and members of Dubai's elite, all eager to witness the downfall of a man who had once seemed untouchable. Detective Khalid took the stand first, presenting the evidence he had gathered, the security footage, Tariq's confession, and the files from Omar's private server. His testimony was meticulous, leaving no room for doubt. Omar al-Farouk orchestrated the murder of Sophia Carter to silence her. The evidence is clear, and justice must be served. Omar's defense team fought back aggressively, trying to discredit Khalid and paint Sophia as an unstable woman who had fabricated the evidence. But their arguments began to crumble when Layla took the stand. Layla's testimony was the turning point. She spoke calmly but powerfully, recounting how she had uncovered Omar's affair and his illegal activities. I loved him once, but when I realized what he was capable of, I knew I had to stop him. Sophia's death was a tragedy, but it also exposed the truth about Omar. The courtroom was silent as Layla revealed the final piece of evidence, a recording of Omar admitting to Tariq that he wanted Sophia taken care of. "This is the man I married, a man who would kill to protect his secrets." Omar's mask of confidence finally slipped. He glared at Layla, his anger palpable. "You betrayed me," he hissed. Layla met his gaze, her voice steady. "No, Omar, you betrayed yourself." The prosecution rested its case, and the jury began deliberations. The tension in the courtroom was unbearable as everyone waited for the verdict. The trial was more than just a legal battle. It was a reckoning for Omar, for Layla, and for the city of Dubai. The courtroom was silent as the jury returned with their verdict. All eyes were on the foreperson as they stood to deliver the decision. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Omar al-Farouk, guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and financial crimes." The room erupted in gasps and murmurs. Omar's face went pale, his once unshakable confidence shattered. He turned to his lawyers, but there was nothing they could do. Justice had been served, but the cost had been high. As Omar was led away in handcuffs, Layla watched from the gallery, her emotions a mix of relief and sorrow. She had lost her husband, but she had gained something far more important, her freedom. Detective Khalid approached her, his expression respectful. "You did the right thing, Layla. Sophia's death won't be in vain." Layla nodded, tears in her eyes. "I just hope her story inspires others to stand up for the truth, no matter the cost." Sophia's life had been cut short, but her courage had sparked a movement. Her story became a symbol of the fight for justice in a city where power often trumped truth. Detective Khalid, back at his desk, reviewing the case files one last time. His phone rings. It's a call from a journalist asking for an interview about the trial. "This case was never just about Omar or Sophia," Khalid says. "It was about holding those in power accountable. And it's a fight that's far from over. Sophia's story was a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming power, the truth could still prevail." Sophia's story is a testament to the power of courage and the importance of seeking justice, no matter the odds. Her legacy lives on in those who continue to fight for truth and accountability, because in the end, the truth will always find its way to the light. Click subscribe to join our community of viewers who appreciate real stories about life's complex moments. Enable notifications to never miss our weekly uploads of true tales that challenge what we think we know